Hey everyone, it's Spencer again from sketchday.com. I'm gonna do a quick demo here. Oftentimes when I teach my classes I tell my students, hey, if you can draw a box, you can draw a lot of things. But really what that boils down to is learning to draw is really learning to see and understand proportion, because especially with things that people create or humans, tends to have logic behind it. If you can understand the basic pieces of those things, it's fairly simple to draw them. So I have here just a rough sketch that I did of a side view of a car. Here's my disclaimer. I'm not a car designer. I have done a car design internship a long time ago, and I enjoy drawing cars, but I'm not a car design expert. So this demo isn't by any means the end all be all of car design demos, but what I do want to show you is how being able to draw one box or unit of proportion can help you draw a lot of different things. So if you look here, so it's a little bit hard to see. I've got a wheelbase, and it's about 2.5 wheels, or rather 1, 2, 3 wheels between axles on this car. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wheels long, and I've extended the nose of this car just a little bit. And then you'll notice a couple other relationships. I've got the angle of the windshield of this car is pointing somewhat towards the center of this wheel. The height above the wheel, height right here to the top of the cab, is about 1 square. So I've got 2 squares tall, 5 squares long, 3 squares long here that I'm going to use kind of as my base proportion, and then we'll work off that. So I'm just going to move this out of frame, but I'm going to be referencing it to kind of show you and point back to what I initially did. So what I'd like to do here is I'm going to use my handy dandy ballpoint pen. This is just a Bic Cristal pen, and it's not a bold, it's just a regular Bic Cristal. Now for the width of the car, I'm going to go about 3 wheels deep. To divide or extend rather the square, I'm drawing a line as I've divided this first square into a few equal parts. I'm drawing a line through these 2 points down to a baseline and then extending over. Now this is going to be really rough, but if you follow along, I think you'll be able to see here how I'm going about this. And I'm just going to assume that you all are experts at perspective, so basic principles again. Things closer to you are going to be bigger, taller. Things further away are going to be smaller. And lines moving back towards vanishing points are going to taper toward each other toward a point. So here's my front corner. I'm going to draw my first square, approximate that in perspective, divide that, and I've got these 2 points I can draw through like so, and up, like so, and up, like so, and up, and like so, and up, and then continuing this shape over and approximating. And I'm going to just draw through on the other side as well. We've got pretty good estimation of our wheelbase. So here's my sketch. I've essentially drawn from this point over to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the back of my car. I'm going to have to extend my boxes just a little bit as I'm sketching, but that's okay. What I'm really interested in is kind of getting this wheelbase down. So if you'll notice, between squares number 1 and 2, I've got a point here for my first wheel, between 4 and 5, my second wheel. So between 1 and 2, it's going to be my first wheel. Between 4 and 5, second wheel. If I just split that like so, and split this like so, I have a box that I can use to draw my ellipses. Now ellipses are tricky. I haven't done a tutorial in a long time, but if you Google ID sketching ellipse tutorial, you'll probably find something online about how to draw ellipses in perspective. Okay. The important thing, an ellipse has a minor and major axis. I'm trying to make sure that my minor axis falls on this line as it moves back toward the vanishing point. So going back to our sketch here, I've got a 3-box tall structure that I'm going to use for proportion. We can call it 3.5, or at least I'll reference that point at some point for the back of my cabin there. So right up from the central point here, I'm going to extend and get the height of this next box. Pretty simple. It's really quick, but I went through point A here, through point B, went all the way up where this intersects here. It's going to be the height of my next squares, and I can just project these up. Real simple, right? Then I can go over like so, like so, and like so. And we'll use this as an underlay for our sketches, but essentially I've mapped out what this portion of my car would be like going over to the other side of the car. The bottom of my DLO, this area is called the DLO, or daylight opening. The bottom, or where the bone line of the car here stops, it looks like about 1/3 of the way or more in. So there's about 1/2, there's 1/3. So I know that this is going to be kind of a main feature lines for my car. So I'm just going to rough something in right there. And then also with cars, they tend to be, if you've ever looked at one, a little bit curved. So I'm just going to sketch these guidelines in. There's lots of different ways to do this. I'm just approximating here. So I'm going to sketch those in as curves to kind of help guide myself. And also, the cab of my car right here looks like it starts about halfway back in this square. So right about here, look at that. I was already sketching it in, about halfway in. Square number 3 looks like back's about there, and then it kind of tapers out. So pretty cool, huh? So now I've got rough approximation of my DLO right through there, and this line is shooting towards the center of this wheel right there. And I can kind of mirror the same thing on the other side. If you wanted to, you could draw through the whole thing and get a better approximation of what's happening. I'm also going to just do a center line down the middle here. And this is just going to help me as I draw the other lines for my car here in perspective. So you'll notice that the rocker panel on the car tapers, meaning it's a little bit taller toward the back of the car than it is toward the front. So as I draw this in, I'm going to add a little bit of attitude to this rocker panel. Also, if I had a top view, the front of my car would probably start curving in right about there. And I'm just going to mirror that up top here just as a guide and take this line right through here all the way to the back like so. And just to keep this simple, take my center line all the way down like so. So already you can see my car is shaping out pretty well, pretty simply, and I've got a pretty good estimation, right, of the basic geometry of my car. Pretty awesome. So again, if you understand just some simple geometry, and I know this looks like one of those demos where it's like, here's how you draw an owl, and it's a squiggly line, and by the end it's this amazing illustration. But really, learning to draw is learning to see. Some of you know this, I was a math teacher, or wanted to be a math teacher rather, before I wanted to draw. But a lot like math, for me anyways, drawing is really about the logic of the world around me. So if I can see the small part, I can paint the big picture. So now that I have the basic geometry, I can start to cheat just a little bit. So here's where I'll probably create a lot of controversy. You can see here I'm adding just a little bit of fender in the front, but I like to draw cars with a little bit of camber, meaning the wheels. So if this were a front view, the wheels kind of angle out just a little bit, and if the wheels camber, it means that I'm intentionally drawing them so that they look as though the axles are like this. Okay. Like I said, a little bit of controversy. Some people have a hard time with that, but I'm gonna roll with it. To sketch my wheels, it takes a little bit of practice, but I'm just imagining just a simple 5-spoke rim. I think rims are interesting in car design sketching because they almost date you as a designer. So if you're drawing big saucer rims, for example, you're probably from 60s or 70s. But I'm just gonna do a simple 5-spoke here. Keep it simple. Now, I've gotten pretty far with this Cristal pen. I'm gonna bust out the bold here in just a sec. Let's get a couple more details in. So on the front, I'm going to use some of these lines as sketched to finish out or help create some of the graphics on this car. Like I said, I'm not a car design professional, but I do appreciate the art and it's fun. So we can call this my attempt, but I'm not a professional. So I may not know all the terminology, for example, but I think I can draw an okay car. I think. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. And I'm just going to cheat a little bit in the front here. I'm going to bring this out just a little bit like so. Split this intake like so. Change the angle on this one. And on this light, change the shape just a little bit. Okay, pretty rough. I'm just gonna ghost in a little bit of the inside of the vehicle here. But again, hopefully you kind of get the idea. And just adding something like a little contour line through my side, hint at some sort of tail light detail. I'm not going to really worry about that too much. So now I'm switching to my Cristal pen, and this is going to really help pull out the details that matter. So again, just getting a nice outline here. Sometimes I do that where I rotate my paper 360 degrees thinking that, oh, this will be the right angle, and I end up right where I started. So, pretty hilarious, I know. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of see with just pulling out some extra line weight here toward the front, for example. I'm really starting to pull out some detail in this area. And I'm not going to finish this whole thing because I want to keep this relatively short. But hopefully you get the idea. Again, if you can draw a box, you can draw a lot of things. It's a great way of seeing and understanding perspective, proportion, and translating your simpler designs into something a little bit more dynamic. Ballpoint pen's really nice because you can vary your pressure, get a variety of tones, much like you would with a pencil, except I don't need to carry a sharpener around with me. And I really like these crystals because you do get the bold variety, and you can lay down some nice thick line weight if you need to. Okay, almost there. I could spend a lot of time doing this, but I'm already kind of at my limit for this video. So anyhow, hopefully you get an idea of, again, going from a nice simple two-dimensional view. This doesn't have all the details that I put into this other sketch, but you get an idea of, hey, if I can draw a box, I can approximate my perspective, add some details where I need to, and come up with something hopefully dynamic and interesting. If I had time, I would, scan this in into Photoshop, maybe make some tweaks, push and pull a few things just to help puff and create a little bit more dynamic. One of the downsides to drawing a car like this is you can create something that's a little bit stiff. So to just add some more dynamic in, I would probably scan this into Photoshop, stretch, pull, push, pull a few things as I transform, and then make some changes through there. So thanks for joining me once again. If you like what you've seen, if you're new, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find me on Instagram at sketchaday.com. These are my fancy graphics, by the way. Or you can visit facebook.com/sketchaday, become a fan there and sign up. Or you can visit my website, sketchaday.com. Thanks, guys. See you later.